Yeah. Hey. Hey. All right. Hey. Yeah, I mean.
So we about to take off.
Hey. Please do remain calm. About to run against it and with a little bit of soul. No time.
Welcome to the Please Remain Calm podcast. I'm Ben Gonzalez.
And I'm Daniel Gonzalez.
All right, and you want to get the little message at the beginning here?
Yeah. So first off, right off the bat, all of the opinions that you're going to hear in this podcast are our own. They do not reflect the opinions of the Los Angeles City Fire Department or the Los Angeles County Department of Health Services.
Right.
I want to get that right off the bat here because we're going to dive right into a subject, something that happened yesterday that might touch on some things. So glad we got that out the bat. Second thing, real quick before we dive into it. Listen, you guys just hit play on this podcast. Thank you so much. It means you listen to us and you follow us and you support us. If you could please actively go and subscribe, like the episode, maybe even leave a comment, rate the podcast, give us a 5-star rating. We're trying to grow the podcast a little bit. We do produce it ourselves, so we're trying to get a little bit of production money to help produce it.
Yeah, guys, this is brought to you by you.
Yeah, exactly. So the more we can get the word out about the podcast, the more analytics we can get on paper for the sponsors and stuff like that, the better it is for us. The better placement we get on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, the better chance we get placed on up-and-coming podcasts and stuff like that. So it's all based on you guys liking and subscribing and commenting and interacting wherever you listen to the podcast. So if you could actively go and do that right now, it would really help us build the podcast, and I greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, seriously, we are trying to give a lot and ask a little. So if you guys can do your little part there, we really appreciate it. And yeah. Now we're really rocking and rolling, getting into the show here.
Oh, there you go.
Let's get into what just happened yesterday in LA. I don't know if this is a national story, but it is a crazy story. And I caught wind of it at work. We always get alerts when anything like this happens. We got a call from Henry Mayo, ER, asking us if we're on this situation right now. We're like, whoa, what's the situation? And then we were aware of the situation. Danny, go ahead.
So the first you guys heard of it was a call from Henry Mayo.
Yes,
Okay.
sir. Before it was on the news.
Henry Mayo is a hospital in LA County. It's the trauma. Is it a trauma center up there, Ben?
Yeah, it's level 2 trauma center up in the Antelope Valley, the northern end of LA County. Henry Mayo is in Newhall, Valencia, Santa Clarita area. And then further up, there's also another trauma center at Antelope Valley Hospital. So
yesterday, unbelievably tragic event happened at LA County Fire Station 81 in Agua Dulce, which is pretty rural area, like kind of desert climate up there, right?
Yeah,
Mountains
just north of Santa Clarita. If you keep going up the 14 freeway, heading toward Palmdale, but not all the way up to Palmdale. I think Palmdale's like another 20 minutes, half hour or so.
But it's out there. Little isolated area, some big, huge, beautiful homes out there, ranches, stuff like that.
Property.
Right? Acton is a town out there too.
There's a lot of movie shoots out that area. There's a few movie ranches.
So that area is covered by LA County Fire, and there's a fire station out there, Fire Station 81. And yesterday they had a shooting, a workplace violent shooting, essentially. And all the exact details aren't out yet, but the preliminary results, reports, and also the reports that we got from people that we know within the department,
right?
Family members that work within the department.
Not
as well.
naming names, but the word got around.
An engineer that works at that fire station came in off duty and shot and killed the on-duty engineer, and shot multiple times and critically injured the on-duty captain. He then took a vehicle from the fire station, drove back to his home in Acton, and set the home on fire. And reports were that he had told people that any firefighters that show up to put the fire out, he was going to fire upon them. Man, I could not believe when you texted me and asked if I had heard about what's going on. I was home, doing stuff with the kids, and Ben texted me, hey, did you hear about that shooting? And I'm like, whoa, what are you talking about? And he kind of told me, hey, turn on the news. And I turned it on. And that's when all the information started coming in, and we started texting people and trying to get more info. There's so many different angles to this story.
Yeah, and a thing that we talk about often on this show, it's almost like a segment on this show, is Danny's workplace discussions.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Let's go to Danny's workplace corner.
Yeah.
Right now.
Right.
One thing you guys got to understand is that the fire department, man, ultimately it's a workplace. You know, it's no different than going in and working with, you know, Joe and Susan and stuff like that at your cubicle in the office. You're there all day with the person. You get to know personalities. You agree with some people, disagree with some people. You know, some people have their cubicles, you know, decorated with, you know, Republican stuff. Some people with Democrat stuff. It's the same thing with your lockers at work. Okay.
Right.
These are all personalities and people from all walks of life, different nationalities that are living together in a house.
Exactly.
Right?
And that's the rub, is that you're living together 24 hours a day and you have to depend on each other to survive, in a sense.
So that's where the twist is, because not only is it just like MTV's The Real World, where you're just got like multiple different personalities that have to get together because you have to be in this house together. Right.
Right.
But let's say you don't like somebody, which, believe me, bro, there are plenty of MFers that I do not like on this job. Okay. And I'm sure
don't like you.
And I'm sure there's plenty that don't like me, dude. Okay. But when you're working together, you're on an engine together with some dude you just, you know, had an argument with or whatever, or you just don't fucking like.
Or they're your partner on
or they're
the
your
rescue.
partner on the rescue.
Yeah.
But that's not as dangerous as being on an engine with somebody and being in a structure fire and relying on them for your safety and him relying on you for his safety. You got to put all that shit aside when you're on an emergency situation, because we might have a cliff rescue that you got to suit up and throw a harness on and go over, you know, a low angle rescue to rescue a kid that fell or something like that. And I might be your safety guy, rechecking all the knots and all the connections, making sure it's all, you know, your safety officer for the operation.
Yep.
All our differences and shit have to be thrown out the window in those cases, right? Yeah. So it's a weird thing. It's a weird kind of thing that has to be, you know, it has to mesh and groove together at certain points in the day in certain situations. And in other situations, you can, depending on the person, argue about stuff and still hug it out and be cool afterwards. In some situations, you can argue and totally disagree and F you and go to your separate corners of the station, not talk all fucking day or not talk for a month or 6 months. You know what I mean? Yeah. Usually when that happens, it's miserable for everybody, and somebody's told, hey, you got to transfer out or something like that, right?
People figure something out.
You figure it out. Typically, you try to figure it out at the firefighter level, right? There's a hierarchy there, right? You have firefighters, you have the rated members who are the AOs and engineers, right? Who are, you know, promoted members but aren't quite captains.
Right.
Typically, that's locker room shit that gets taken care of in the locker room. If fools are fighting, one of the engineers or the AO or the other firefighters will get together. Hey, everybody up in the locker room, and you talk it out. And you go, look, you guys need to knock this shit off. What's the deal? And you talk it out, man. Yeah. It's really awesome sometimes when that shit can happen. Okay.
Right.
Sometimes it doesn't happen. Okay. At that point, you're at a workplace. You're at a workplace where it's untenable to be working with people that are in this situation, that are arguing and fighting and MFing each other. And especially if it spills out onto incidents, you know?
Oh, yeah. You kidding?
You know, hey, dude, give me that thing. You get it yourself. You know what I mean? Shit like that on an incident in front of patients.
I've heard stories from other departments, too, about like fist fights en route, all that shit.
Happens all the time.
Yeah, you know?
Okay. It happens, dude.
All right, yeah.
You have to put all that shit aside and deal with shit. And if you can't deal with it, there's hundreds of other fire stations in the department you can transfer to. And captains, you know, can say you need to transfer out. Here's a list, you know, whatever. It's something that can be. Or if you don't tell them, you know, you got to transfer out, there's a whole disciplinary, you know, ladder that you can go down.
What we're saying is there are a lot of options before you get to whatever this came to. And like, we don't know what happened. We don't know the story behind it. We just know the result.
But even with all that stuff in place, right? It's still a house with a bunch of different dudes that are living together, right? So like, even though that's the way shit's supposed to go down, right? Going and telling the captain on somebody, is this something that's like super not looked at well? So like, the AO and the engineer might have had a locker room conversation with the guys. Hey, this shit needs to stop. Well, what if it doesn't stop? You know, now you're a grown man and you're like, fuck, do I tell the captain that these two guys aren't getting along? You know what I mean? Am I going to be the tattletale? It's like, that's like the inner conversation that you have. And sometimes it doesn't.
And the other thing too is people don't want to insert themselves in somebody else's workplace thing.
Yes, dude.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
There's not intervention like you think there's going to be intervention, you know, or like people say there should be or whatever. It's not. It's different when it's your situation.
And listen, just like Ben said, this is a general conversation about arguments and work. This is not. I'm not saying any of this is what happened yesterday, but it sparks the conversation. You also got to keep in mind, man, that the job that we do, it's not like a normal. We're not making widgets, you know. Here, we're not sitting at the computer in the cubicle selling insurance or whatever. We're seeing shit that would be comparable to what a soldier sees in combat.
Right.
PTSD is a regular thing on the fire department, whether it's diagnosed properly or it's not. It happens. Over a 30-year career, I mean, the amount of death, you know, the amount of mutilation, the amount of just terribleness that people do to each other.
You don't know how it affects someone's psyche long-term overall. Everybody deals with it in their own way. And like when we had Captain Boswell on here, he said, well, the leading cause of death now is suicide.
Exactly, man.
You know what I mean? So people snap in one way or another, and the shooter, the off-duty engineer in this case, also committed suicide.
Correct.
After the fact.
So you add that onto it, right? Yeah. You add that onto it, right? Then on top of that, you add however people try to cope with that.
Yeah.
Whether it be drugs, alcohol, who knows? You know? Everybody, like you said, treats it differently, acts differently. So you have all these factors, man, that could be happening in this melting pot of a fire station that you're trying to be, you know, cohesive.
Yeah. So then you get to the incident itself. This guy apparently shows up at the station. He's off duty, and he pulls out a gun, shoots the engineer a bunch of times in the chest, is what I understand, in the torso.
I hadn't heard.
He's declared dead on scene. Shoots the captain as well. I don't know if the other guy intervened or if he just left. It seems like he just left.
Yeah.
And then, like, I mean, now it's a shooting at your station.
Yeah.
With your guys. They call the sheriffs. The sheriffs come. They get a helicopter on scene right away. Airlift the captain out to Henry Mayo.
And that's where they contact.
Right. Well, they let us know ahead of time before, and then actually, I don't know if I can. Well, I mean, it was over the radio. They were considering, because they let the fire burn after that. That guy just set his house on fire, I guess, in some way, and shot himself. And they were considering using the helicopters just to do drops over the house.
So then that's what
they weren't going to send anybody in.
And that's what they wound up doing. I think they dropped a couple SWAT officers there, and then they wound up doing airdrops. This was a massive home.
I don't think they actually dropped on it. They just let it go.
No, they dropped.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, it was all over the news.
Okay.
Yeah, they were dropping on it. They did like 4 or 5 drops. The thing burned to the ground.
Yeah.
Nobody approached the house. There was no hand lines on it. They did a handful of water drops. The word was that he had shot himself at the house, which I don't know if that was confirmed or not. But fights happen at the fire station all the time, man. I think the key point to get out of this is for anyone, man. Anybody at the firehouse. And let me tell you something, man. After the past year, it happens all the fucking time. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
The fire chief had to put out a notice. Like, you cannot be arguing about political bullshit at the fire station. You know, if you see that happening, turn and walk away. Be aware of what news channels you have on throughout the day and stuff like that. Because it's real, man, especially in the fire service. Such a conservative organization, but there's a lot of younger people that are getting hired and getting these jobs that are living at this. And it's just like I said before, it's this melting pot of ideas and personalities.
Mm-hmm.
And it just feels like, 18 years I've been on the job, man. It really does feel like over the past year, it's a lot easier for people to argue and
You've
fight.
seen it become more polarized the same way America has.
Absolutely, dude.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. And because everything's politicized, you see people view like fire departments and fire department membership as like a fertile ground for recruiting to one side or the other.
Yes.
One side.
Yeah.
More than the other, but
it just seems like it's a lot easier for people to fight and really, really let anger take over those arguments and fights now. Which is why, like, anytime I have a conversation like that or a back and forth with anyone at work, I always, always, always keep it calm and low key. And if it starts to delve into insults, boom, the conversation's over. Hey, dude,
Right.
I think I talked about that on the show here.
We've
The
covered
conversation's over.
Yeah.
But I think it's important for guys out there in the field to notice this stuff, especially in this day and age. Notice the guys that you're working with. You know the guys, man.
Yeah.
You know their personalities, you know their tendencies, and when you start to see changes in people, like changes in their personality,
with this guy.
yeah, it's not. It can't be something that just snapped that day. There had to have been signs that there was something going on, or he might have even talked to somebody about it who just didn't feel it was like I didn't want to tell the captains on it, or who the hell knows, man. But you gotta listen to these signs that people are giving you. Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows if it was just a mental break, if there was drugs, alcohol involved, who knows? But somebody had to have noticed some sort of sign.
the backstory.
And with all of the shootings, mass shootings that are starting to tick up now, obviously after COVID restrictions and everything are being lifted.
Yep.
You have to be hyper aware of that shit these days.
Seriously.
Yeah, in just in general in the world out there, but at the workplace also. And fire stations, police stations are not immune to that.
Right.
They're human beings with the same stressors, if not more stressors.
Not more. Yeah, exactly.
And
could be hypersensitive.
And you got to look out for your brother. You got to look out for the people you work with. My heart goes out to the guy, to the engineer that was shot. There is a GoFundMe for him. The LA County firefighters Instagram posted for Tori Carlon. So it's a GoFundMe. It's the only fundraiser that's been approved by the family. So you can search that out. You
shared it to the
I shared
the
it to
PRC
the
story
the
on
PRC
Instagram,
story on Instagram. My own story personally, and the 63's page. But he had 3 young daughters and a wife. The fire family typically bands together when things like this happen to take care of the family.
Right.
And this is just one branch of that. So if you're able to seek that out and donate it.
Yeah, and the last update on the captain was that he was in stable condition, critical but stable. So it looks like he's gonna pull through.
And I'm sure there'll be something put out for him and his family as well.
Yeah.
And we'll get that to you on the Instagram.
And now, unfortunately, that station is a crime scene, taped off, closed indefinitely.
So
Who knows
insane,
what's
man.
going to happen with those guys?
Yeah.
The survivors, the witnesses. It's
My heart
crazy.
goes out to those guys too.
It's crazy.
What a thing to witness. You're not only do you lose the engineer that was your buddy, but I'm sure the guy that went in the shooter was a buddy too, man.
Yep.
I'm sure there was a lot of love for that guy too.
Yep.
So just a heartbreaking situation all the way around. Our hearts definitely go out to the families and to all the guys that work there at the station. Yeah, man, it's crazy.
Yeah,
if
did
you
not expect to see that.
Yeah, if you need to, seek out your department psychologist and just talk about it if you feel like you need to. Trust me, that should help.
I don't know of another incident like that either.
I've never.
Yeah.
I don't
just
know,
a
man.
station shooting.
I mean, I've heard of guys like, killing themselves on duty,
Right.
different places, but I've never heard of a workplace violence like this.
Fights. Yeah.
Oh,
But
fights all the
nothing,
time.
Yeah, nothing like that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, back in the day, fights were like a tradition. I mean, that was the way something like this didn't happen. You had a problem with the guy, you went out to the handball court and you handled it, and everybody turned their back. And for this to happen, it's just heartbreaking, man.
There's a
Really,
lot of
really
things had to go down. All right, so we have a guest coming onto this show. We weren't only talking about this today. We have a guest that's going to be Skyping in or Zooming in. Zoom. Yeah. We've switched from Skype to Zoom.
Don't piss off the
third
Zoom
wheel.
people.
Yeah. The Skype contract lapsed.
So what's his story? What's setup here?
All right, so our guest today is going to be comedian Grant Cotter. Grant Cotter is funny as shit. He's been on, I think, MTV, Comedy Central. I honestly forget what else. Bad producer, and I forget people's credits when they're our guests. I've pretty much done this with every single comedian that's come on the show, just butcher their credits. And I host a show. I have to ask people what their credits are before I bring
have the
them up.
information.
I
You
should
just hold
fucking
it in
know.
your head.
He was just on my show last Friday.
What an ass.
You know what I'm saying? But still, So Grant is going to be coming on, and the reason we have him coming on is, as always, we always have guests on who have had some shit happen to them, and Grant falls into that category. He's not a firefighter. He is a comedian who broke his leg in an accident in the jungle on a scooter in Tulum.
In Tulum.
In Tulum. It happens. We have
Mexico,
also covered
man.
this. This
Yeah.
is also almost a regular segment on this show.
The
Danny
Mexican
almost dying
healthcare
on
system.
vacation. No, you
Or the-
almost dying on vacation.
Yeah, or the Mexican healthcare system.
Yeah. Okay, so that's 2 regular segments
Yeah,
that we get to
we
touch
gotta
back on
keep a
now.
list.
Or 3 now in this episode. Station discussions, Danny dying on vacation, and Mexico's healthcare.
He so he's riding like a 4-wheeler then?
I don't know, man. We got to get into it with him. I don't remember if it was a 4-wheeler or if it was a like a moped or something, dude.
There he is.
Hold on. There we go. Grant, what's up, dude? Can you hear us? All right. Yeah,
That's
don't
all right.
even trip, man. Yeah, Grant was going to come in. He was originally going to be an in-studio guest. You pulled yourself together, dude.
Yeah, you look
You know what I'm saying?
No,
Spiffy hat.
no pants on, but
Ooh, I got big
Hey, look
shorts.
at you. Is that a matching set, bro? Is that a short set?
No, just 2 clothes that used to be white that I washed with some brown stuff.
Yeah, man. All right, so we gave a little intro to your story. So I remember hearing this first as a bit when you were on my show a couple years ago. And that was funny as shit. And it was like, oh shit, that really happened. And then we started this podcast like, hey, I got to get Grant.
yeah.
Because we've had this show, we either have firefighters, because my brother's a firefighter, we're both paramedics, and he's also an actor. So we have firefighters come on who have had like close calls, almost died, or have some crazy rescue story. And then we have other comics who have come on who have had shit happen to them. Accidents. Like we had Chris Cope, he had an aortic aneurysm. Alex Hooper came on and talked about he had a anaphylactic shock. He had a really bad allergic reaction. Just random crazy shit. So ears perked up when I heard Grant's story because it was funny as shit, number one, but also wild, true, and
So take us through
perfect
it.
for the format, dude.
Take us through it. Take us back to that day in Mexico, that wonderful vacation you were on, or why were you in Mexico to begin with?
Well, you know what? Everything in the world happens for a reason, and I believe that I got injured on that trip in Mexico just so I could come and be on this podcast with you guys.
You never know.
So,
I believe it.
The physical pain, the financial burden,
God, I
the
appreciate
stress of it all was all worth it because I'm zooming in with you guys here.
God's
while I'm
plan.
dressed like a camp counselor.
Right on.
That's what's up.
Yes, sir.
So for my story was I was performing on the Vans Warped Tour cruise. Like I've never done a cruise ship before, but the Vans Warped Tour, I thought like, damn, that could be pretty cool. Like a bunch of bands, you're on a cruise ship. Like, why not?
Sure.
I didn't know they had that, dude.
Yeah, me neither.
I knew
This
you
is
were
the
on
only
Vans
one.
Warped Tour. Oh, are you serious?
Yeah, this is the only one. And it was like throwback bands. Like, remember that band Lit?
Whoa,
Like,
yeah,
yeah.
dude.
Make me complete. Like
Yeah,
bands
dude.
from like the year 2000 were on it.
My
So it was a
prime.
fun time.
Right.
We started in New Orleans and then we went down to Cozumel, Mexico and back.
Yeah.
And I was real stoked. I was like, dude, I get to perform in like for a bunch of cool bands and a 500-seat theater in the middle of the ocean. Like anything goes. Sounds cool. I'm down.
Hell yeah.
We had one day off in Cozumel, Mexico, and I brought another comic with me. I brought Amir K.
Yeah.
And we're on the beach and we're with some of the other bands and stuff. And he was like, let's go ride scooters. Let's go ride scooters. I'm like, fuck that. I'm not going to go ride a scooter in Mexico. He's like, come on, let's go do it. Let's go do it. Like peer pressured me so hard into riding the scooter. I didn't want to do it. I'm like, why do I want to ride a scooter? So we go to this little shady stand and there's just this guy with like a crumbled up piece of paper. And he's like, hey, $20 all day. Let's go. You want to ride a scooter? So they
But it
peer
was how
pressured
much?
me into it. $20 for
Oh,
the whole day.
$20. Okay.
So
Did they give you a helmet?
For the day.
dude, no helmet, no
helmet?
nothing.
No, last time
Anything
I rented
goes.
a scooter in Mexico, they gave me a baseball helmet.
Yeah. This is like a moped.
Yeah, it's like a Vespa kind of
Like a
scooter.
Vespa.
You know,
Yeah,
he
yeah,
just gave me
yeah.
a pat on the back and a fucking
Yeah.
whistle goodbye. Like so.
That's a language down there.
Yeah, bro. It's
Just
contracts.
FYI, yeah.
Yep.
Oh yeah, the whistling, dude. That's how you know what's up. Like, and the better the whistle, the shadier the dude, because
Yep.
it just means like he's signaling more people for more shit.
Yeah.
So the cruise ship let you off at like 10:30 a.m. and then you have to be back on the boat by 4 p.m. or else they're gonna fucking leave without you.
Yeah.
So we like 11:15, maybe we rent the scooter. And there's no like class on how to ride a scooter. There's no like,
Did you YouTube it?
Pass this obstacle course, like go through the cones. Let me make sure. There's not even like, are you guys wasted? You know, it's just like, give me your money, fucking take the scooter and come back. So
they
like
just assume everyone's wasted. I'm assuming.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What are you
in
gonna
Cozumel,
do?
man.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So my scooter was like already looked thrashed. You know, it looked like it had been like under a semi truck. It was like scratched all on one side. And he's like, it's just cosmetic. It's the outside. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Like, all right.
Runs
Everyone
like a
else
dream.
just gets on their scooters and zooms out. They're trying to get to this beach where it's like $40 to drink all day or something. So they're like, let's go. And I've never ridden a scooter before, you know, so I'm scared. I'm going slow. I'm like, all right, we're going through town. Cars are zipping by us. We're like on regular roads. There's no like scooter lane. So we're just zipping on. We finally get to like the straightaway and everybody's hauling ass. So I'm like, all right, I guess I'll try to go a little faster too. And so we're going fast. I'm having fun. Like the wind was in my hair. You know, I had a girl behind me, like, you know, like strapped in. And I'm like,
oh, look
this
at
is
you.
amazing.
Like Sons of Anarchy out there on your Vespa.
Yeah, Sons of Anarchy.
And it's with the other bands?
Yeah, there was some from like a band, you know, Amir, the other comic, and just like some random people we had met on the cruise. And then they all stop. They stop and like, we're like, let's go this way. But my scooter can't stop. Like I'm just still going. I'm like,
you didn't pay for brakes, bro? You
Dude,
didn't pay the extra like $5 for brakes?
Yeah, that was an upgrade I didn't know I had to get.
Dude.
So I can't really stop. I'm like, oh shit. And then I just like take my hands off the gas, you know, and I'm still steering and I'm hoping that I'm going to slow down. And I think that if I like pull to the side, it's kind of like dirt, you know, that I'll just eventually slow down. And then I don't. And I kind of just like put my feet down to try to like skid and stop. And I eat shit. I fall and boom, scooter topples over me. Girl on my back fucking flies off. I'm like road rashed up. Everyone's like, I see them from like 200 yards away. Like, oh shit. So then I just stand up and I'm just worried about the girl. Like, is she okay? Like she's bloody everywhere.
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Like, is she okay? Like,
was she like a friend of yours?
She was just like a girl I brought on the cruise with me.
Oh, okay. You brought her with you. Yeah. Oh my God, man. What a nightmare.
And so I was really worried about her because she was like bleeding. And then everybody like, as soon as they came over and huddled her, they were like, dude, fuck her, Grant, you need to sit down. And I'm like, why do I need to sit down? Like she's bleeding. They're like, look at your knee. And I looked down at my knee and my kneecap was gone. It was like, it was ungloved is the medical term for it.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And so like, you know, to pretend this is, you know, this is kneecap, a similar thing. All this was gone. And it was just like, you could see the white of my bone and my kneecap and then everything here.
Oh my God.
Was like tucked in under like this. And there was no blood at all. It was like so clean, so fast, no blood. But it's just,
right off.
I didn't feel it at all. I felt fine. And then as soon as I looked at it, like instantly I started just sweating so bad.
Sure, yeah.
So then they put me on the ground and they threw a towel over my leg so I wouldn't look at it.
Yeah.
And then another guy gave me his belt and we made like a fake tourniquet kind of a thing. And, you know, we didn't have service on our phones and we were so far out, like kind of in the middle of nowhere. Cars are just driving by us, like laughing.
Are you just on a road then? Are you in a town? Like, are there buildings around or are you just out on a road? On a countryside?
Out on a road. So we were maybe like 20 or 30 minutes outside of like where the cruise ship had dropped us off.
Oh shit.
Because we were kind of heading towards these like Mayan ruins kind of, I don't know what we were far away.
You pissed off the Mayans.
It's only a one road, you know?
Yeah.
So like there's like local tours, like Mexican dudes driving like other people from the cruise ship and they're like laughing at us because they see this 100 times a day, just like kids getting fucked up on the scooters.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
So we have no service to call for help. Finally, a taxi pulls up, but he wanted like $300 to take me to the hospital.
Yeah.
Like,
the chance to fleece you.
Passenger in his car.
Dude.
Yeah. So he was like, you got to come. You got to come with me to drop this guy off
to his house, and then we'll take you.
Fucking Mexico, man. Yeah.
So we're like, fuck this. And finally, like we had stopped enough cars that like somebody else had called an ambulance. But I was like freaking out. I'm like, dude, I'm not getting in an ambulance in Mexico, like alone.
Yeah.
So I hitched a ride with somebody back to the main town, and they dropped me off at Hooters. And so
And you're still not bleeding at this point, or
I'm still not bleeding. I still got the
wow.
towel on. I'm not in any pain. I'm like,
wow.
That's
gnarly.
totally good, but I'm
But the
drenched in sweat 'cause
infection.
I'm aware of how gnarly it looked.
Sure.
Yeah.
But my whole thing was like, damn, I got a show tonight. Like, I got to get back on the cruise ship. They'll stitch me up on the cruise, and then I'll
With no
perform, and it'll be
kneecap.
like a funny story.
No kneecap.
Well, because I didn't know how bad it was.
Bro.
Like I had never gotten a surgery before.
Right.
I'd never gotten stitches before. I'd never broken a bone or anything. So this is my first.
Were you bearing weight on that leg, or were you just hopping on your good leg? Like, were you able to walk on it at all, or did you even try?
At first, yeah, because before I looked at it, like
Oh,
I
yeah,
walked
Didn't
didn't
you
around.
register
That's
at
right.
first?
Okay.
That's right.
Wow.
Yeah. So then, but as soon as I saw it and everyone like kind of started making a big deal about it, that's when they were like, dude, get off your leg. And then I had the tourniquet on it to make it straight. So maybe I was kind of hobbling on it a little bit.
Okay, so you get back into town, and is there a hospital or a clinic there?
He's
Well,
at
I was just
Hooters.
trying to get back on the
Yeah, he's
He's at Hooters, dude.
He's at Hooters.
Yeah, I'm at
Well, if you're gonna
Hooters.
go out,
Cozumel.
if you're gonna go out, that's where you want to
Did you
go.
get a table?
Yeah, just
But
take me to Hooters, man.
I need wings.
How'd you wind up there?
No, honestly, it was it felt the safest because I was like, I recognize Hooters.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
It's like
Okay.
America.
Yeah.
brand,
Yeah.
So I'm at the Hooters, and they left my scooter back at the accident site. And to rent the scooter, I had to give them my driver's license.
Oh
But I
man.
couldn't get back on the boat without my driver's license.
Dude.
So then I'm just waiting there, and I'm like, okay, they'll be back in like 30, 40 minutes with the scooters. They'll get my license back for me. So then I'm just waiting there, and these girls from the boat like came up to me and they're like, what happened to you? And I'm like, oh, I hurt my knee. And they're like, oh, well, I'm a nurse. Like, let me look at it. I go, oh, thank God. Yeah, I need somebody. And she looked at it and she was like, oh, you need to go to the hospital immediately.
Oh,
And yeah, it was nasty. Then I get to the hospital. No. So then I'm just like, no, take me back to the boat. Take me back to the boat. They won't give Amir my license back because I fucked the scooter up.
Oh my God.
Right. And I can't get on the boat without my license. So then I see the guy who like booked me to perform on the cruise. And he's like, dude, you got to go to the hospital. This is bad. Like, I'm going to hire a van for you and go back up. And so by now it's maybe like 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. And I know the cruise ship leaves at 4. So I'm like, okay, if I can get to the hospital now, they'll stitch me up. I can get back on the boat and leave. I get to the first hospital and they're like, oh yeah, this is the local hospital. This shit was ghetto as hell. There was like chickens running around. Like
More
it
of a-
was,
Yeah.
I was like, dude, I'm not going in here. And they're like, if you want to go to the gringo hospital, you got to like pay a little more. And I'm like, dude, take me to this clean one. Take me to the safe-
Yeah.
So then I'm getting another like 15 passenger van and my legs fucking hanging out the window. They take me to this hospital. It's nicer, but the doctors are at a soccer game. So like
What?
I'm in, yeah. So like these nurses are kind of coming in looking at me and I'm just in a room by myself and they put another towel over my leg. And I had to wait there for like 3.5 hours for the doctors to come.
And the ship's leaving?
Yeah, ship left without me.
Shit.
So they sent somebody with all my luggage and stuff to the hospital, and ship left without me. So then
Amir K left,
stuck.
took the gig.
So now you're by yourself in Mexico. Nobody from the ship is with you. No friends, no nothing. You're just by yourself. Did your
Yeah,
girl stay too? Or did she take off on the ship too?
She came eventually, but she was like had to return her scooter, and she was the one that grabbed my stuff off the cruise ship. And came
Gotcha.
back.
Okay.
So then we're just like alone in this hospital. The cruise ship left without me. My parents never leave the fucking house ever. But for some reason they themselves were on a cruise in like Spain. So like I couldn't contact them.
Oh my God.
Wow.
I'm a comedian. I'm poor. I don't have health insurance. I have maybe like Obamacare at the time or something,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which this hospital did not take. And I knew none of my information to give to them.
Right.
And the week before it, I was performing in Montana and I lost my credit card.
Oh my God.
Dude.
So there were so many like awful things.
Did
that
you have your
led up
license
to
back
this.
even?
Pardon?
Did you get your license back even from this guy?
Yes, I must have. I don't remember.
Okay.
I must have gotten it back. But so they wouldn't operate on me unless I gave them $5,000.
Yep.
And I don't have the credit card. I can't like contact any family members. So I'm just like, fuck it. All right. Like use my debit card. So then they had my debit card on file, and that was like what they used. So it wouldn't operate unless I gave them 5,000. Then thankfully they did it. They said the surgery was, fine. I'm in like a nice enough room. I feel like kind of safe, thinking, all right, I'm going to leave the next day. Then they kept me there for 5 days. And like, I was so fucked up. Like I was just hitting the fucking morphine button. They're giving me some whack ass food. So I told them I was a vegan, so I could just get like salads or something.
Yeah.
And then,
they didn't even have beans and rice? Just beans and rice?
But it was like, it was suspect.
Yeah. Oh, no shit. All right.
And so anyways, they drained all my money, 20 grand gone. They made me sign this paper. It said I owed another 30 grand. And then I had to buy a first class ticket from Cozumel out because I needed the leg room because I couldn't bend my leg. So it was an awful ordeal. Then I got back to the States and I had to go to another doctor to make sure that they didn't
fuck your leg up. Yeah.
Then
got a chicken knee now.
I ended up getting 40 some stitches across my knee. And then I had to go to 3.5 months of physical therapy, but I didn't walk for almost 2 months. I was just laid up in bed.
Yeah. With your leg elevated.
They prescribed me pills called Tramadol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is like a painkiller.
Mm-hmm.
So when I'm in the Cozumel airport, this lady came up to me and she saw I was miserable. She's like, "What happened to you?" I go, "Oh, I got fucked up, my knee." She's like, "What did they give you?" I go, "Tramadol." She's like, they sell it at the gift shop right here." And I was like, "What?" She's like, "I love it. I'm bringing it back with me myself." I'm like, "Really?" She's like, "Yeah, it's easy. Nobody checks." So I went and I bought 500 more Tramadol pills in the airport compared to like the 100 they gave me.
Yeah.
So then I just like was a pilled out vegetable for 2 months on the couch before I could learn to walk.
Holy smokes, man. Was that, did you have trouble kicking that when you started feeling better?
I started feeling better, but it was also like, dude, there's a bunch of stuff. It was like, I just felt like shit. I looked like shit.
Sure. Yeah, man. The whole ordeal. Now you're broke. You can't walk. Yeah.
Dude,
can't work.
So
yeah. How long was it before you were able to perform or do stand-up again or do anything to even start making money again?
Here's the even crazier part. So this all happened on like maybe October 30th, right? On November 7th, I was supposed to open for Adam Sandler.
Oh,
this like secret show. So, and I was super pumped on it. And so this happened October 30th. They kept me there 5 days. I get back to the US. So like the 5th or 6th. And then the show's on the 7th. I went to the show on the 7th. And I was like, dude, I couldn't walk. It was supposed to be kind of a small, intimate show, right? Mm-hmm. Like a secret one for him to prepare for like a Netflix special.
Yeah.
Dude, word got out. This shit was oversold. I thought it was going to be me and him. Like I just open with 20 and then he does whatever. This guy had a full band on stage.
Yeah.
I go into the green. I'm like trying to get through the crowd on these like crutches. I don't know how to work. I'm pilled out. I'm fucked up. I go into the green room. It's like everybody from the Happy Madison movies that like you would recognize, And I'm just like, oh shit, there's nowhere for me to, I'm like jamming people up with the crutches.
Yeah.
Like everybody just felt so bad for me. And they were also like, why are you here, dude?
Yeah.
So we had a full band on stage, all this equipment. They're like, Grant, go up and open the show. Like security guards had to lift me on stage. Then I get up there and everybody just feels so bad for me because I'm sweating. I look like shit. Like I was not funny at all. And I was
how long did you do?
I think I did like 7 minutes and then I left.
Oh my God.
What a nightmare, dude. This entire situation sounds like one big
it's like
nightmare.
a bad month, dude. Like a horrible month.
Dude, it was awful. Then, so the girl I was with like was at the show and she was stoked. She was like drinking. I think I probably gave her some of the pills that I was on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She had to drive my car. So I'm in the back seat. I had an old Explorer at the time. I'm in the back seat with my leg up. And it wasn't like automatic lights go on the car when you turn it on. So we're leaving the Brea Improv and we turn the corner and then we see these sirens behind us like, boo, woo, woo. She gets pulled over in my car and I'm in the back seat with my leg up because she didn't have the lights on. She had been drinking and was on pills.
No.
Then like I just rolled the window down. I was like, dude, I fucked my knee up. I need her to drive me home. And he's like, okay. and then he let us
Nice.
go. But I was
Oh my
scared.
God.
Wow. I
What
needed
a
to drive
nightmare.
me home.
So-
Her?
So let me ask you this: you said that your kneecap was gone. Was there actually? So your tendon was torn? Is that what they reattached on your knee? Like, did they have to flip, or do you not know?
No, structurally, nothing was wrong with the knee. It was just all the skin and the muscle.
It just
Like-
basically degloved.
Degloved,
It was
yeah.
all skin that got degloved. They had to flop it back over and
The actual
staple you.
patella
Hard.
stayed on.
Oh wow!
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Like
Okay.
all this, just boom,
It's like
gone.
a shark got you, yeah.
Yeah, we get a lot of like where the patella, the actual kneecap, because it's held on the top and bottom by pretty strong tendons, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like actually, when I tore my ACL, on my left side, they actually took a piece of my patella tendon to make a new ACL. That's how strong and it's pretty wide where it connects to the patella.
Yeah.
So what we get a lot is we'll get where it'll detach and flop off to the side. And then people have a knee bent with the two tendons holding the patella, and they feel pressure when they try to straighten it out. But in actuality, that's how you pop it back into place. You got to straighten it out
Yeah, for the
so that
quick-
it'll pop
Yeah.
and pop back into place.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
that was the hardest part was, the stitches, right? And
Yeah.
they were like, I just had my leg up like this for so long
Sure, yeah.
that to relearn to like first to stretch it, and then to learn to move it, and then to like learn to put weight on it, and then to learn to walk correctly again. It's like
You said it was 2 months?
2 months. And then also I'd never had anything like this before. My leg shrunk, I would say
Sure,
half
yeah.
the size of my
Yeah.
other leg.
Yeah, the atrophy of the
atrophy,
muscles
yeah.
there, yeah.
It became
That
jelly.
fast,
And it was
though.
so little.
Crazy.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy how they probably had to keep it. So it was in more of a bent position while you were letting it heal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's the only way it kind of felt comfortable. And I like the stitches were like, I don't know, not like fishing line, but they were like a hard black wire.
Yeah.
And so they hurt a lot. And it was,
Yeah, man. It's almost like I remember getting like claustrophobic too. When you sit there and you can't move it, even with
Yeah.
my finger, when I tore this little tendon on my finger, and they put this the way to like let it heal was they put this brace on it that just held it straight, right?
Yeah.
So you couldn't bend it no matter what you did, and that tendon like held back. But even the act of like, damn, I can't fucking bend this finger. To me, it gave me close to an anxiety attack a few times where I had to like calm myself down and the same thing with knee. I've had both my ACLs done.
I don't even like having a cramp.
Yeah. But like I've had both my ACLs done, and you're right, man. Like you have to lay there, immobilized, for a certain amount of time to let everything start to heal before you start putting weight and doing physical therapy and stuff like that. And it's kind of depressing, man. And like if you have this entire, ordeal like you described to us, I mean, losing your money, you can't work now. You know what I mean? Like
dude.
all this shit happened.
Multiple gigs.
You're
Yeah.
in terrible fucking pain, and if you're not in pain, you're popping pills, and those have their own problems, and they're hard enough to get off of. Now you're able to move around, and your fucking leg is half the size of the other leg. You can only run in circles and shit, right? It's it's something you have to like look out for your mental health while you're going through as well.
yeah, it was bad. And I think that's why I would pop so many of the pills. And then I started drinking like NyQuil too, because I was just like,
It
if I
numbs
just
everything.
sleep-
Yeah,
if I'm asleep, like I can't feel
yeah.
any pain,
Damn.
and the days will go by. And I just remember like I watched every episode of Kitchen Nightmares with Gordon Ramsay and just like the dumbest shit. And it was just a bad time. And I will say there are two comedians, Johnny LaQuasto
Mhm.
and Laura Hayden, and they also in another life were both physical therapists.
Yeah.
And they were like just ginormous help, like coming over doing house calls, like
That's awesome.
That's awesome. yeah.
rubbing my leg, helping me stretch it, like really just encouraging me to do it. And I will say Adam Sandler's, maybe not him directly, but someone in his group really helped me out. And they gave me the info to like a great orthopedic surgeon who I went to see a couple times, and he didn't charge me. He liked, that I was a comic and knew them. And
Oh, that's awesome.
Wow.
and I felt good, because my biggest worry is I'd come back and then I'd have to get another surgery.
Yeah, the knee would just
To-
never be good
to
again.
fix it.
Of course. Just real quick, if this were to happen to anyone, I mean, it kind of seems like it went down kind of the only way it could have gone down. I mean, the only thing that I would say is like actually physically going out on the road and stopping people and saying, hey, this guy's hurt. We need to get him to, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. When you talk about, we had a dispatcher on here that walked a mother through doing CPR. And when you go and take a CPR class, they tell you, like, one of the first things you do is like tell people, go call 911, right? Yeah. But one of the things they add on there is like, go call 911 and come back and let me know that you did it, right? Because people freak out, man, when there's emergencies going on and shit. And like you might say, bro, go call 911, and they're not even paying attention to you. They didn't hear you. They're staring at your fucked up knee, and they're like, goo. And you're telling them go call 911, and they back off and go do something else, and you think they're calling and they don't. So it's important to, at least in America, get that system going. Get somebody to go and call 911. Yeah. Obviously in Mexico,
at least in America, yeah.
Obviously in Mexico, it's different, and you almost have to physically like stand in front of someone's truck and go, "Hey, help me," and hand them some pesos. As you're doing it.
And they still might not stop. Yeah.
In retrospect, it's like a lot of the people were tourists, so their phones probably weren't working. Yeah. Where we were either, and it probably didn't look that bad to anybody driving by. It was like, there was a scooter tipped over, and I was on the ground with a towel on my knee. I wasn't like freaking out. I wasn't, wasn't bloody.
Even more reason, more reason. Hey, fucking somebody get out there and stop somebody, Yeah. And then the Mexican like healthcare system is so crazy. Like they have these little clinics. It's not even, you can't even really call it a system, but they have these little clinics. There's Red Cross clinics in different areas and stuff like that. Right. And it's almost like word of mouth. Like you got to talk to the taxi drivers and talk to people. Hey, where's there a clinic or something?
They had him hustled for 50 G's.
Yeah, it's insane, man. It's insane.
In all honesty, like I'm lucky that it happened in like such a tourist kind of town, Cozumel.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
Ended up like being good, and I felt like safe and secure there.
Or even having the knowledge and the facilities to be able to even stitch you up properly. Yeah, you know what I mean? Or perform surgery. Like we had a guest on that, lacerated a kidney while dirt biking in Mexico, and got to a clinic where they were just like, we can't do this surgery. You got to go to this other hospital. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, he's bleeding out. And the same thing with you. They made him, he had to pay before they would do the surgery. Meanwhile, he's bleeding out.
Yeah. And he had to hitch a ride and find a truck that he could sit in and go through the back roads to make it to the fucking hospital.
The doctor at that hospital, the trauma surgeon, wound up paying for his surgery until they could get, so they could do it to save his life because he was going to die. But it's so crazy how they're so willing to just, let somebody suffer or die if they're not able to pay in Mexico or anywhere in the world, really. But
while I was in there waiting for the doctors, because it took like 3-4 hours before they got there, I'm I'm like just in like a chair, and there's a curtain, like in front of me.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing like one person, 2 person, 3 people, 4 other people came in that also got hurt on scooters, and then some people got to get patched up and went back on the boat, but one other guy ended up staying there with me for 5 days.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Damn.
They got to get their 50
They see it all the time.
Yeah.
The scooters.
Yeah, it's
scooters
crazy.
are a menace. That guy who sold you the scooter for $20, he knew what he was doing.
Dude, I know. That's why it's $20, bro. Them? It's like, what am I going to sue him for? The scooter?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? What are you going to
do? Another thing, also a good idea to get out there when you take a CPR class. Typically it's coupled with a first aid class as well. Tourniquet. So if you're, just to make a point here, tourniquet is to stop bleeding. Like that's the ultimate point of tying a tourniquet. So if you're ever in a situation where you have a cut or you have a degloving, sometimes you catch it just in the right spot or just in the right way where you don't really sever any vessels, and you don't have any bleeding. If you have an injury like that, where there's no bleeding, don't put a tourniquet on it. If you're out there listening, you haven't taken one of these classes. What you could potentially do is cut off the blood supply to that appendage distal or beyond that tourniquet, which is really the point of a tourniquet. It's to stop bleeding, to keep people from bleeding out.
Exactly. You want to stop the blood flow because the blood is flowing out of the body.
Exactly.
But if it ain't happening,
if it's not happening,
then you want to keep the blood flowing.
You have circulation down there. You don't want to put a tourniquet. You do want to bandage and wrap up, where you have the wound.
From
and
infection.
If it is continuously bleeding, you apply a tourniquet. But you got to be careful. You got to be careful applying tourniquets. Even when we apply tourniquets on like actual like injuries that are bleeding or an arterial bleed or something like that, we apply the tourniquet. We always notate like what time we put the tourniquet on.
Right.
And it's important to know, especially for those surgeons and stuff like that, they want to know how much time they got to try to save this, the appendage distal to the injury or distal to the tourniquet.
Yep.
So those things can be dangerous just to make that point, but it worked out great in your situation.
In his situation, it's the guy from Lit and the guy from Simple Plan or whatever the fuck.
And that's the other,
They're doing their best.
That's the other good thing is that like actual application of a good tourniquet, like it takes some work, and you know what I mean? It takes like some knowledge of what you're doing also. So believe me, man, I can't tell you how many times we'll show up to some kind of injury that's bleeding and there's a tourniquet tied onto it. You know what I mean? And we're cutting it off or taking it off. Thank God it's typically not tied very well and stuff like that. And you still have
it's not too
blood
crazy,
flow.
right? Yeah.
Have you ever seen an ungloving on a knee before?
I've never seen one on a knee. I've never seen one on a knee. If you got any pictures, that'd be cool to see actually. But you get fingers a lot. Mm-hmm. I've had hands, like industrial accidents where an entire hand was degloved. Caught his hand caught in a machine.
Yeah.
You see it. I've seen it on the legs. Same thing. You know, guy got his leg caught in a machine and it degloved his leg. Never seen a knee. That's a new one. Yeah.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah, man.
I mean, I commend you guys for having that. I don't have the stomach for it, you know, like I thank God that my body had that mechanism to kind of just put me in shock. And as soon as I saw it, you know, I felt no pain, because I could also see it going the other way where I see it. And then I get too dramatic.
Freak
like,
out.
I'm dying.
Yeah. Have you ridden a Vespa since this accident?
Fuck no. I won't even go. I see bird scooters parked on the street and I get flashbacks.
He doesn't even want to go back to Mexico, dude.
Dude, I'm scared to go to Mexico. Like, my passport's flagged, because it's awful to say, but like I didn't pay the rest of that, you know?
He's never coming back. He owes us money
for him. Yeah, bro.
He owes us 150,000
pesos.
pesos.
To Mexico, I go, no way.
But what if the Vans Warped Tour cruise comes back?
Dude, I don't even want to go.
It's hard to say no.
Damn it, I'm in. No.
Who were the other bands besides Lit? Give me two other bands. Rack your brain, Grant.
I think the big band was Good Charlotte.
Good Charlotte.
I'm in, bro.
And everyone was mad at them because like they demanded a whole floor of the cruise ship to themselves.
Asshole
Charlotte with the mans with the big rider.
There was the band Lit was cool. There's other band Bowling for Soup.
I heard Bowling for Soup.
A bunch of like other little bands, but I think those were like the bigger names. I'm trying to think who else.
Dream cut too short.
Grant, thank you for coming on, man. It's a crazy story.
Hey, so Amir K jumped back on the cruise?
Dude, Amir went back on the goddamn
what a dick.
It was his fault.
Did my time.
That's what I was going to say. He took your gig. I got an hour now.
Also, probably just talk shit about me falling on the scooter the whole time.
Oh, my God. They just roasted Grant the whole rest of the Warped Tour cruise. But that chick stayed and hung out with you or stuck around through this whole month of hell.
Yeah. God bless
Almost risked the DUI.
Like, I commend her wherever she is.
My dude. All right, Grant, where can they follow you or find you, or what do you want to plug or sell?
I mean, dude, I got nothing. I'm living life in a post-pandemic world. I'm happy that I'm walking around. You can find me posting pictures of my dog on Instagram, and you know, wherever stand-up shows are, I'll probably be in the back, not limping.
What's your Instagram username?
It's just my name, Grant Cotter, GrantCotter. All
right. Thank you for coming on, man. It's a crazy story.
Appreciate you, dude.
Thank you for having me. Thank you guys for doing the Lord's work and keeping people alive. And sorry I'm dressed like this.
You're awesome. Thank you for showing us your knee.
Peace.
All right, dude.
Hey, real quick before we wrap it up, I do want to say scooters. Bird scooters. Okay, Grant mentioned bird scooters. We had a call a couple days ago at work. You're not supposed to be on the sidewalk with those things, people. No. Okay, be in the street. We had a 91-year-old man that was struck at 20 miles an hour by a couple on a scooter in Venice. They were going home from eating and having some wine, and killed the guy. I mean, traumatic for the rest that we worked up on the sidewalk, and you know, the the people that were on the scooters stuck around and, you know, talked to police, and they were, you know, you could tell they felt terrible, but they're riding a scooter on the sidewalk where they're not supposed to be. It's against the law, and they've been drinking.
Oh,
so now you're looking at a DUI.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
was it worth it, bro, for a bird?
Do not ride birds on the sidewalk, please. It's dangerous, and an accident could happen that could change multiple lives. So
yes.
Now, all that being said, please, if you haven't done it already, go and like and subscribe and comment and give a 5-star rating to the podcast if
for
you can.
These incredible stories, you guys.
Folks,
all right, the
we
freaking
want to keep coming in here.
Warped Tour cruise goes tragic.
We want to keep coming in here and doing this for you. So please help us expand this podcast. You can find me at DannyGonzo34 on Instagram and Twitter.
Follow me at Ben9Humor, Ben number 9 Humor, like Benign Tumor on Instagram and Twitter. Follow the show at PRC Pod on Instagram and Twitter, or at PRC Podcast on TikTok, where Danny's posting multiple videos every day. I'll start jumping on there sooner or later. I've been lagging. If you want to email us questions, complaints, suggest a guest, ask us for a shirt, whatever, contact prcpod@gmail.com. If you want a shirt, we have them. We were supposed to give one to Grant because he was going to be an in-studio guest and wound up being a Zoom guest, so we can send it to him, I guess. But we've also got stickers as well and new shirts coming up from the new company as well.
Yeah, follow Centigrade Clothing too, guys. We're going to launch on the 20th of June with a pre-sale, and we'll start shipping out shirts on the 27th. But I've got some great designs from photos that I've taken over 18 years on the job that we're doing a little tweak to. I think it's a cool design, a cool idea. And if you follow the page, you'll see what I'm talking about. Thank you guys very much.
Yes, thank you to all our new subscribers as well. All right, we're out here.
Take care.
Yeah. Hey. All right. Hey. Yeah, I mean. Hey. Please do remain calm. About to run against it and with a little bit of soul, no time.